claiming that those digital speed governors were not there and they couldn't operate at all. They have been stopped. Are they now available?
Well, what we would say for now is that, these are new standards. This particular standard is made for Kenya. So wherever you go in the world and you want to order, this specification is specific to Kenya. Because, like I've said, we are the ones who have said that it must have a memory capable of storing for. So anybody who is going to import it is specifically designed for Kenya. And we've not heard of any shortage so far. And I also want to correct that we have not said everybody by today must have all that. We have staggered this. For example, the cashless system, we've given them up to June to allow the technology companies and the mobile companies together with the banks to be able to come up with structures and products that are going to be tested, and finally by June everything should be operational. We've also given them up to March to ensure these speed governors are also installed. So I think what you're trying to say is that there is no time when everybody will say we are now ready. And I think what we must also do is also to appreciate that when the accidents are too many and very severe for that matter, we all blame the government. Then the government acts, then we say it's being done hurriedly or something like that. So I think what we need to agree as a nation, even away from government, the reality is that something must be done. And I want to also emphasize that the road is probably the only resource that we all share. It's like a river in a village. If you allow people upstream to make dams and use pesticides, the people beneath are going to go. So what is happening is that, and this is, in my opinion, is something that we must really look at very seriously. The problem in the past is that people knew if you overspeed, nothing will happen to you. You can drink yourself dead and still drive home, nothing will happen to you. So what we want to say is that if you do anything wrong, be ready to pay the consequences. If it is a circle, and you misbehave and you're 20 matatus, you'll have to pay for that. And that's what the group discipline that we want. And the previous assumption that maybe regulations are to be obeyed by only a certain section of the people or whatever, we want to say that the matatus together with the small cars are equal offenders on this particular matter. And that's why we're going to come up with interventions across the board that will target buses, the lorries, the small vehicles, and eventually also the borders, because also they constitute a significant part of the accidents that we are having.
Right. In regards to the deadlines that you've mentioned, perhaps, Kimutai, were you consulted? Are you okay with the dates?
We are not okay with the dates. I want to say it's not practical. We don't want to create a crisis. If today we are told by end of this month, it was gazetted in December, by end of is it February or January, that we should have fitted the digital speed governors. We have over 80,000 vehicles. Do we have the capacity? Do we have the gadgets? So we need to, when we do pronunciation, we need to see the practicability part of it. And we don't want to, when we go into partnership, it has to be genuine. It's not going to be a partner that when you go, when you are out, you're not the same. So we need an area where we can solve this problem so that we don't have any shows. We don't need shows anymore. We are investors and we need to be respected as investors. We are not killers. We're just giving a service. When some things do happen, we look at drivers. We never train drivers. Drivers are trained and licensed by the government. We need to look at that regime. I have recommended that we need to have discipline. A matatu driver has got to be trained, apart from having a normal license that is 4 years old. We need him to be trained as a matatu driver. Now we know very well that you can get a license without even being trained in this country. So we want an area. I had recommended that GSU, not GSU, but what do you call youth service yes. would be the best trainer. We can give them business. Somebody can go there to learn how to drive a particular class of vehicle, learn how to behave. We have a behavioral problem, an attitude that is not very well. But somehow we don't have the mandate to do that. Licensing is within the government. And, for us, we'd like to be very practical. And as I said, we want to be part of this. We want it to be successful. Because by the end of it, we are the beneficiaries as investors in this particular area.
Perhaps when is the practical time you think that's...
I had recommended that every time a vehicle goes for inspection is done once a year. let the person be very compliant at that point so that we can spread it for a whole year. We can have the 80,000 matatus fitted without any excuse. Because one thing is that when we can talk of Mombasa, Busia, Malaba, Kisumu, Kakamega. Do we have these fitters? Are they all going to come to Nairobi too? There are very few of them and who are very conversant with it. And we want to come up with a solution that is going to be, we're not going to talk about any other time. So it's very practical to spread it over 1 year. But 2 months for 80,000.
One thing that I got from Kinyanjui is that the government is doing everything that it can do to protect, save the lives of Kenyans. And that is why he says we have to come up with these deadlines because there is no time everyone will be ready.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement. I also want to have my vehicle safe. I also want to make business. I also want to, you know, get returns from my investment. What I'm just trying to say, is it practical within 2 months to be able to fit 80,000 or maybe 3 months, 80,000 matatus?
Perhaps let's understand, March, June. What advised that?
Yeah, I think it's fairly simple. You tell Kenyans the deadline for anything, maybe even registering as voters is in June. They will not turn up until June, until the date comes, until 2 weeks to time. That's when they will create a crisis, everybody is there. But in the period before that, they're not coming. So today I would want to be told that there's a long queue of people waiting. They are not there. They're not, there's no hurry. They'll wait until the time comes, and then there will be a crisis in court. So I think what we want to say, and you see, we have said that our #1 killer is speed. So if we want to allow that to go on for another 1 year before we can sort that one out, I can assure you it's not going to work. Then #2, the other part we need also to be a bit honest. We have given a standard. If anybody satisfies the KEBS requirements, can be able to get it, importing takes 3 weeks, we still have up to March. People can be able to comply with all these things. But all I am very sure is that there has been too much talk in the past and very little action. So I think we must be able, at least, if we heard that the queues are impossible, and by June we won't have gotten this. But right now, even the optimum use of the time and the people available is not there. So I think all I would say and really would want to emphasize, you have heard Bwana Kimutai on his own admission, he's saying 4NT and some of these other people are fully compliant, not just on speed governor, but on all these other things. So there are companies that even as we put these regulations, they're already way ahead of us. I want to assure you, companies, for example, that are working for Bamburi Cement and some of the big transporters here, they don't allow their vehicles to go at night, not because of any government regulation, but they know that you can operate profitably within regulations. And these are the most profitable companies that have been there for long. So I think all we're trying to say, we want to bring order in the industry. And the unfortunate part is that chaos is in itself an industry, and it benefits certain quarters. So what we are saying for now is that we want to stick by the deadlines and will not change even by an hour, because there is no good reason why that should happen. And the more you keep changing, it will soon be, why not next year? Why not be the other year? And all we are saying is that there are too many issues that need to be sorted out. And these issues cannot be sorted out if we agree on 3 months, within 3 months do this. That doesn't happen. Then we'll keep on postponing until we never quite get to where we want.
So perhaps, Kimutai, you could actually just take us through this. Because the government, you know, we've been talking about laws. 1980s, there was a structured transport system. But the implementation part of it has always been a problem. What has the matatu industry done to make sure that the laws that are written are actually adhered to?
Well, it's the history. For a very long time, matatus have been run by individuals. You buy a matatu, there are no entry rules. You're just licensed without even application. You just go there and you get licensed. I'm the one who recommended that we have SACCOs and companies to run public transport. And I said, let the companies and SACCOs be licensed. Apparently, it was not to happen. They only licensed individuals in SACCOs. So the SACCOs and companies became a rubber stamp, where a person will get a letter, go get a license, and go and operate. So there are no obligations. So eventually, it has come now that it will be that SACCOs are going to be licensed so that they can hold it as a weapon against members who do not follow rules and regulations within the SACCO. And this is to happen. And at the same time, we would want it to happen. When I talk, I'm talking on behalf of very many people. Kimutai could have complied. I could be having a very good system. But I'm talking about the history that is there, that many people have not complied. What I just want to say is it practical to install these gadgets within 3 months? There was hesitation, then it is within 2 months. Will people have complied? Those are the questions that I'm trying to answer.
Are they going there now? Are they
Right now,
are they going there now?
Exactly.
no, we have people in Kisumu. We don't have any person who's fixing this thing in Kisumu. People are asking questions, where do we get them?
Yeah,
There are people,
that's what I asked.
yeah,
People came
now,
and said, we can't get them.
That's the question. No, we don't want to, we need to be very practical. If we do now, I've tried to do a research to get to know how many. We have less than 10,000 of those gadgets now in Kenya. Where are we going to get 70,000? This is very practical. I've talked with these people who fit.
Is that so?
Some of them are locally manufactured, some of them are... You know, one thing is that people are very hesitant. One, I would want to say probably the reasons why this could not come in. At times, there were political interference. So those who import the gadgets fear that if I bring these things, will it be removed? Then I don't have anything to do with them. So those are the questions. Now they've told us that we need to know whether we are certain, whether we'll be able to import and have a place to install. Those are the areas that need to be addressed. And probably the ministry could not be aware of the same. I'm very much aware because I'm on the ground. And you've said it practically. There were people here who said we can't see them. Yeah. There are areas where we cannot find them. So we also need to push people where we cannot be able to get the gadgets. Right. Those gadgets which are available, people are putting. We are not saying we can't put these gadgets. We will. But it's a very noble, it's a very good idea. But what we need is, where do we get them to fit them? Already right now is that they are